Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we are going to talk about how to build a responsive navigation bar using HTML, CSS and JavaScript for your website. Let me show you the demo of what we are going to build. So you can see here that we have a beautiful website with a beautiful background. We have a header and we have a logo, brand name, and on the right hand side we have the menu items, and when you actually hover on the menu items you see a beautiful background transition. So now let's see, if I actually reduce my screen size, then you will see that the menu items, they automatically adjust themselves based on the screen size, and after a particular width it actually turns into a hamburger menu. Now when you click on the hamburger menu, you will see a beautiful transition coming from the left hand side and will show your menus in a column format. And we will also see how to create this hamburger menu, and when you actually click it, how to transit, how to make the animation of a hamburger into a cross icon, and how to display the menu items. So if this sounds interesting, then watch the video till the end. Also make sure you subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, so I have a simple empty folder navbar, and I have three folders in it, for CSS, images, and for the JS file. And now let's first start with the creating our HTML file. So I'm going to name it as navbar.html. Alright, and after that I want to have a JS file as well. So I'm going to create a nav.js, and then I'm going to create a CSS file. So let's create a CSS file, and I'm going to give navbar.css. All right, so we have all the three files. All right, so the next thing is, let's create the HTML boilerplate code. So I will use the emit to have the HTML boilerplate code, and I'm going to name it as responsive navbar. After that, yeah, I will just link the CSS file. So I'm going to do rel style sheet, and the href will be dot css navbar. Okay, and I'll also link the script file. So let me add the script file. I'm going to give a source and dot slash js navbar.js. So we have linked our CSS file and the script file. The next thing we want to do is, I will be using a Google font, Roboto. So let's add the Google font. Okay, and I will just use this embedded link. So I'm going to add this embedded link here. And in the CSS, let me add some default CSS. So for the default CSS, I want to remove the margin. Then I want to remove the padding 0 pixel. Let's give the box sizing border box, and we'll use this fonts family. So I'm going to add this font family here. Okay, and I need the color of the content should be white. So I'm going to give a color. All right, now let's come back to the HTML, and I will start this HTML on the go live server. So I'm going to click the go live, and yes, we will not see anything because we haven't returned anything yet. So the first thing we are going to do is, let's create the HTML structure. So in the HTML structure, first what we need to have, I'm going to have a header. All right, and inside the header I'm going to give a div with a class of logo, and the logo is dark world. And then I'm going to create a navbar, and inside the navbar I'm going to have a UL. Inside the UL I'm going to have an LI. I need 5 LIs, and inside the LI I need to have an anchor tag. So let's have the anchor tag. All right, so we are not able to see anything because actually our content color is white. And let's go to the CSS. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add an image to the body. So let's add then image and the background image. I'm going to add the URL of the image. So the URL will be images owl. Okay, and then I need to have a background size of cover, then background position to be center, and my height should be 100 vertical height. So if you don't know about the vertical height or how to use the vertical height, you can check my course on the CSS units where I explain each and every units, the vertical height, vertical width, rem, m, everything there. So you get a better understanding of the CSS units. All right, so now we have the background and now we can see our content as well. Next thing is I don't want this default anchor tag underlined, so I'm going to remove that. So I'm going to give an anchor tag and I will add text decoration none, text transform to be uppercase. So I want all my menu items to be in uppercase. All right, so now next thing is we need to align our content in the header. So let's align that content. So I'm going to use header. I'm going to give a display flex. So you need to know the flex properties, guys. So if you don't know the flex properties, you can see my tutorial of the CSS flexbox where I actually explain each and every flex property. And we need to have the justify content to be space between. So if I add the space between, I actually get the space between the logo and my menu items. Also, I don't want this default dots. So for that, what I'm going to do, I will just do a UL and I'm going to do a list style type none so that I can remove that. All right. And the next we are going to give a background to the header. So a background color, I'm going to use RGBA value. All right, I'm going to give 000, a black color, and I'm going to give an alpha value of 7. Okay, and then next I'm going to give, I need the elements to be aligned center. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do an align items and I'm going to use center. So the next thing I think we need to do is we need to have our UL in a row. So they should be one adjacent to each other and not in a column structure. And to the UL, I'm going to give a display flex again. And I need to have a justify content as space evenly. I need an even space between all my menu items. So when I do that, you can now actually see that there is an even space between them and they all are in one line. But actually it doesn't look good. So we are going to add some more styles to it. So I'm going to give a padding here. So let me give a padding. So I need to give a padding of 2 rem from top and bottom and 0 from left and right. All right. And then let's increase the font size of our logos. So I'm going to give a header and inside the header we have a logo class. All right. And for the logo, what font size we are going to use? We are going to give 2 rem. Okay, and I'm going to give a margin 0 rem. We don't want from the top and the bottom because we have already given the padding from top and bottom. So we only want the margin to be on left and right. So for that, I'm going to give 1.5 rem. Now we have a space here, but we also need a similar space on this side as well. Okay, and I'm also going to give a height to my header. So I need to have a 14 vertical height. So now we have our logo complete. So now let's work on the menu items. So I'm going to give an UL li and in the li I'm going to give a margin right 1 rem. All right. So now we want that when we hover on our menu items, we actually want a background color to it. So let's give that background color. So I'm going to use ULLI to the anchor tag and to the anchor tag first I'm going to use the font size. So let me change the font size. I'm going to give 1.3 rem and now on the hover we need to change the color. So let me add that ULLIA when you actually hover then you need to have a background color of gray and let me give some transition. So I'm going to give a transition of 0.5 seconds so that when I actually hover it, I get a little transition or animation on the background. So I'm also give a border, and for the border, I'm going to give 4 pixel. All right. Now, if I hover, you can see that we get a background with a little transition, but I also need to give some padding to my anchor tag because there's not a proper spacing between the background and the content. So let me add a padding here. So I'm going to give a padding of 8 pixel from top and bottom and 10 pixel from left and right. And now if I hover it, yep, now it looks much better. The next thing I want to do is I need to have an active class on the first menu item, which is the home. So what I'm going to give, I'm going to go there on the HTML and I will add a class here as active. All right, and let's use this active class on the same UL. So UL LIA dot active. So now you can see that we have a proper active on the home, and the rest we have when you hover it, we actually get the background. So this looks nice. So if we see it on a larger screen, it actually looks proper. But we need to fix it for the smaller screen. So you can see that when actually I reduce my screen size, it's not working exactly what we wanted. So what we will do, we will first add the hamburger menu. So how we can add the hamburger menu? All right, so for the hamburger menu, what I'm going to do is we'll go to our HTML again, and between the logo and the navigation bar, I'm going to add the hamburger menu. So I'm going to give an href, and I'm going to give a class of hamburger, and I will also give an ID of hamburger so that I will use this ID when actually I'm going to use the JavaScript part. And I'm going to create 3 spans because I need 3 lines in my hamburger menu. So what I'm going to do, I need a span of class bar and I need 3 spans. So this is Emmet abbreviation, guys. I have a video on Emmet abbreviations if you don't know how to use the Emmet. And if I click hey, enter, then I get my 3 spans. And now let's style this hamburger menu. So to style the hamburger menu, I'm going to give a dot hamburger. All right. And we will be using position absolute so that we don't mess with our logo and the menu items. So I'm going to use position absolute, and I need the hamburger menu on the right hand side. So I'm going to use 1.5 rem. We will use a flex direction of column because I want all my menu bars one below the another, not one adjacent to each other. So for that, I'm going to use column, and the justify content will be space between. So if I save it, I actually cannot see anything. Let me inspect so that we see where actually our hamburger menu is. So if I go here and if I see the bars, I will not see anything because I haven't styled the bars yet. So let's do that as well. So I will just add the width and height here. So I need a width of 30 pixel and I'm going to give a height of 21 pixel. All right, and now let's style the bars. So for the bar, I'm going to give a bar and I will just add the hamburger here, hamburger. So for the bar, I need to give a height of, let me give a 3 pixel height, and I need to give a width of 100% so that it takes 100% of its parent, which is the hamburger. So I'm going to give 100% here. Okay, and the next thing is I want to give a background color. So I need to have a white color so that I can see my lines, and a little bit of border radius of 10 pixel would be enough. Display flex. So if I add a display flex, I can actually see my hamburger menu. But we want the hamburger menu to be only visible after we enter to a mobile devices or the devices which are less than. So for that, we need to use media queries to target the CSS based on the criteria. So if you don't know media queries, how to use them, you can check my video on the media queries. I will add the links in the description below so that you can check it later on. All right. So for the media query, we just need to add media, and then I'm going to use the max width. All right. The max width should be 768, which is actually the iPads or the phablets. So I will add a display none here. So I don't want to see it until I go to a device width which is less than 768. So when I go to the 768 width, I need to have my hamburger to be display flex. All right. And I need to have a cursor pointer as well to it. All right, so I'm running on the zoom mode, so this max width can be different for you, and for me right now it's 768. So if I go less than 768, it's going to give me the hamburger icon. All right, but when we have the hamburger icon, we actually want that our menu items should also get changed. They should be displayed in a column structure. So let's do that part. So after 768, we need to change our UL. So for the UL, what we are going to do, we need to have a flex direction of column for the UL. And we also use position absolute so that we don't mess with our logo. So if I save it, all right. And now we are not able to see our menu items. So let me give a top of 14 vertical height. So this vertical height is actually equivalent to the height of our header. And on the right, I'm going to give a right of 0%. Okay, so now we have started seeing our menu items back, but we need to do a little bit more styling. I need to give a background of, I'm going to use RGBA. All right, so I'm going to give the same background. And I need that my menu items, the background should be the complete height of my screen. So I'm going to use the vertical height again. So I will use 86 vertical height, and that is because we have already given a 14 vertical height to our header. Yep, so we have given a 14 vertical height. So 100 minus 14 is 86. So I'm going to use 86 on the UL, and I need a width of 100%. All right, and the menu item should be in center. So we are using display flex. So I'm going to use justify. No, so now the flex direction is column. So we need to align the items on a cross axis. So I'm going to use align items, not justify content. Okay, and now we have the menu items when we actually our screen size is less than 768. But what happens when we actually increase it? We actually get back the menu items. But we want this to be when we actually click on the hamburger menu. So for that, I guess we need to have a JavaScript now. So on the JavaScript, what I'm going to do is, so let's just finish the other stuff first. So you can see here, if I inspect element, then on the inspect, you can see on the li. Okay, so if I inspect it, you can see that there is a margin on the right hand side, and we don't want that margin on the right hand side. So let's remove that margin, ul li, and we need to remove that margin right to be 0 pixel. Okay, and how this is going to slide from the right hand side. So currently, if you see that we have a right of 0 pixel, but we want this to be displayed only when we actually click on the hamburger menu. So initially the position should be minus 100. If I now reduce the percentage of the right, it is going to slide from the right hand side. So let me make this initial to minus 100. All right, but when I make the minus 100, you will see that we have a scroll and we don't want the scroll. So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to add CSS to the body, and the CSS would be, I'm going to use overflow X to be hidden. All right, so when I do overflow X hidden, so we have removed the scroll bar. And also I want to make some changes to my background. So you can see that I cannot see the image properly. So I will just remove the position from here. Okay, and now I can see the image properly, and I'm going to add a background position of cover here. All right, so now we have this part is placed. The next thing is we want to do is when we actually click on the hamburger icon, we should see the menu items. So let's go to the JS part now. And on the JS part, what I'm going to do is first thing I'm going to create a constant and hamburger. And then we will use the document dot get element by ID, and the ID is hamburger. Next, we are going to add an event listener to this hamburger. So I'm going to use hamburger dot event listener, and we are going to listen a click event here, and it's going to take another function. Okay, and so before that, we have missed one part, and is that we need to have one more class here. So let me add a class here. So I'm going to give a menu slide, and this class will give me a right of 0%. So when we add this class, we will actually see the menu items coming from the right hand side. And then I'm also going to add some transitions so that it doesn't appear instantly. We have a proper transition from the right hand side. So I'm going to use transition on the right of 0.3 is in. Okay, so now we just need to toggle the class. When we click on the hamburger icon, we need to check the menu slide class is present on the UL or not. All right, so I'm going to first take the reference of the UL. So for the reference of UL, we can do document dot query selector. And for the query selector, I'm going to use nav. And inside the nav, we have the UL. All right. And now we are going to use ul.classList.toggle. We need to toggle the class of menu slide. So I'm going to use menu hyphen slide. All right. And let me save and let me try this. Now, if I click here, you can actually see that we can see the menu items now, but it's not having a proper transitions. So let's check on the CSS. So we have added a transition here, and we need to add the transition here as well. So I'm going to add the transition here. All right, so if I click here, I can see, but my transition is not working. So that means I have made some mistake, and I guess I haven't added S here. So let me save it, and now let me see. Now you can see that I have a beautiful transition from the right hand side. My menu is coming, and the next thing I want to show you is when actually we click on the hamburger icon, it should change to a cross icon. And we are going to do that with the CSS. So let's add that part. All right, so to add that part, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a class of cross. And inside the cross, we have the bar and need to have only two bars. So the first bar and the last bar, and the middle bar, I'm just going to make the opacity of the middle bar 0. So I'm going to do nth child and the second one. And for the second one, I don't need the second one. So I'm going to do an opacity of 0. So these CSS will only be applied if the parent of this bar class will have a class cross. And right now, if you see that the bar, the parent is only having a hamburger class, so it won't be visible. So for the first bar, I'm going to do cross dot bar, the first child, and I'm just going to do, so they are like this. So I just need to rotate them. So if I rotate them by a 45-degree, the one with the plus 45, another with the minus 45, then we will be able to get a proper cross. So let me have a transform rotate. Okay, and I need to rotate with a minus 45-degree. All right, and then for the other one, let me copy this, and this for the last child, I need to have a. All right, now if I want to see actually how it looks, what we can do is we can go here and we can actually add the toggle class on the hamburger as well. So I'm going to use hamburger dot class list dot toggle. All right, and on the toggle I need to add a cross class. All right, and now if I click it, you can see that actually it's not a proper cross, so we need to use some more CSS to make it a proper cross. So what I'm going to do is we will add a translate here, and I need to have a 5 pixel of translate X and 7 pixel of translate Y. And similarly here I need to have a translate of 5 pixel, and I'm going to use a translate of -7 pixel. All right, and now you can see that it actually becoming a proper cross. So now if I click it, you can see that it has, when we click on the hamburger menu, it changes to a cross icon, but we need a little bit transition here. So to add the transition, let's go to the hamburger. Okay, and let's add a transition here. So transition 0.53 second all. Okay, and now if we click on the hamburger menu, it actually gives us a proper transition. So guys, we have a perfect navigation bar which is responsive to the screen. So let's test it. So let me increase the screen. So if we increase the screen, we get a proper menu items, and when we actually reduce our screen size, it's going to change to a hamburger icon, and when I click on the hamburger icon I get my menus. So I will also add the code of this navigation bar in the description link so that you can download the code and you can play around with the code. So for now guys, I guess this is it, and we can see that this is a very beautiful navigation bar using the hamburger animations, and you can use it in your websites. So that's all we have for this video. I hope you liked the video, and a thumbs up is appreciated. But before you go, make sure you subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. Thanks for watching guys. Thank you.